All right, hello wine drinking people. Time for more of what I've had to drink yesterday in an annual event here at the store. Our champagne and Pinot Noir tasting, always the weekend before Valentine's. And we put together like 50 or 60 different Pinot Noirs and champagnes. It gets together like 70, 80 people. Man, it is a great party. And this year, I decided to do something a little different, you know, because sometimes we get so busy, I don't have a chance to taste all the wines. So before the event, I opened up all the Pinot Noirs. I poured them in a glass, about that much, and I put them up on my desk and put my little cards over the top of them and went back the next morning because, you know, the best time to taste wine is when your palate is fresh first thing in the morning. And these wines have been open about 11 hours in a glass, 12 hours in a glass like that, and amazing. You know, the wine still showed beautifully the next day. And we have got 32 different Pinots, so I'm going to go through these. We're going to start off with the Oregon wines, then we'll go through California, and then we'll go through all the imports here on 3 separate videos. So starting out from Oregon, we had the Lange Pinot Noir Reserve from the Willamette 2011, a very cold vintage. This wine had a bit of that green minty kind of note to it, which you get in cold vintages in Oregon. Pretty floral notes and strawberry fruit on the nose. Really fresh and zesty on the palate here. This one had a nice hand of spice and some nice minerality to it, to the green minty note also on the finish here. This wine very savory, leaving the tongue salivating for food. An excellent little Pinot at $33.75. The Ponzi was up next, which the Ponzis are one of the original families in the Willamette. Their estate 2011 had some of that green herbal nuance to it as well. Some pickling spice kind of note there, a light smoke and to the cranberry and strawberry fruit. Very light and zesty on the tongue with some tannins here at the end and a firm hand of acidity. This wine really tightly wound here, but definitely better on the second day. Lots of minerality and tangy red berry fruit there, and good structure. Nice refreshing style of Pinot, but needs a little bit of time at $33.75. All right, next up from Oregon, we had the Erath. And Erath, Dick Erath, one of the real, you know, pioneers of the Willamette Valley. He's no longer in charge of this winery, but still the same style of wines he used to make. Very light and savory wines. And with Pinot Noir, you know, you can't look at the color of Pinot Noir and judge, you know, just how complex and nuanced the wine is, because these wines look like rosés. They're so light in color. The Willamette 2011, light strawberry and cranberry fruit, really pretty floral notes and some earthy notes, kind of truffly nuance there. Really understated, lighter colored Pinot, really zesty, tart red, kind of Jolly Rancher candy fruit on the palate there, with zesty spice on the finish, leaving the tongue salivating for food. A very good little Pinot at under $20. The Leland, one of the famous vineyard sites in Willamette, up next. This wine had a lot more nuance to it. Brown spices, that truffly, earthy notes, lovely, pretty incense spice, and some cranberry and cherry fruit here. Again, very light and color, really lovely tart red berry fruit on the tongue here with a lovely amount of exotic spice and earth nuance. Very smooth and silky on the tongue. This one's got layers of spice and that tongue tingly minerality. All right, our good friends from Pali, the Pacific Palisades, up next, and they've got a wine they do from the Willamette called Alphabets. Really popular with the young kids, I'll bet. And it's a screw-off cap. One of the things we like about these entry-level Pinots, you can really keep a wine fresh and bright and consistent with these screw-off caps. And for wine you're going to drink in the near future, the perfect enclosure. This wine had a lovely red, light red cherry Jolly Rancher candy fruit on the nose, hints of spice, earth, and mint there. A lot of that green mint you get in the 2011 Oregon wines. You can almost pick them out, the Oregon wines, blind just by that green character they have to them. Light red berry fruit on the tongue with a lovely savory finish, light spice and earth there. Really nicely balanced wine, although a little short at the end, $19.50. Next up, the Shea Vineyard 2011 from Pali. A lovely nuance in this wine. A lot of that minty herbal nuance to the strawberry and cranberry fruit, tart red berry fruit on the tongue with good intensity and focus, echoing that mint and herbal nuance on the nose through the finish. A firm underbelly of acidity. These 2011s need a little bit of time. The better wine still very tightly wound here on the palates. All right, up next from Oregon, Panther Creek. Yes, that's right. This was a winery that Parker called the DRC of the New World at one time when the 94s were out. I remember the wines that Ken Wright made, and some incredible wines, and still makes some very good wines here, although the program has changed a little bit. The Willamette Valley 2010 was up first. This wine had a lovely raspberry and strawberry fruit, also a cold vintage, not quite as cold as 2010. Nice notes of oriental spice, dried floral notes, a smooth and easy drinking style of Pinot with that light red berry fruit, a nice hand of spice, and nice freshness to this wine too. The 2010, just not quite as cold. Like, you don't get those green herbal notes in these 2010s. The Nine, a very warm vintage. This 2009 Reserve. A lovely smoky black truffle note to the black raspberry fruit, and some savory minty notes here as well. Good amount of that ripe, succulent red berry fruit on the tongue with dark spices and that minty nuance showing through the finish, even though this is a really warm vintage for the Willamette. The Shea Vineyard 2009 up next from Panther Creek. This wine had a lot of nuance to the nose. That black raspberry, wild strawberry fruit, array of exotic oriental spices, that touch of green mint there. Lovely black raspberry fruit on the tongue with layers of that mint and spice and potpourri of floral notes on the finish. Excellent juice, also at $44. All right, next up from Oregon. Could that be it? That is it on the Oregon Pinots. All right, that's what we had to drink from Oregon at our Pinot Noir and Champagne tasting. I'm your host, Andrew Lamposoni, signing off for the Wine Watch, saying, remember, always drink the good stuff first.